Hello, this is Nitin Dahad with EE Times. I'm here talking once again to Lokwon Kim, who's the founder and CEO of DEEPX. Lokwon, hello, how are you?
Fine, great. How are you?
It's great to speak to you again. You know, it's been a year since we last spoke, and a lot has happened. But tell us, DEEPX has been making noise in the AI edge acceleration space. Give us a snapshot for now as to sort of where you are right now in terms of commercialization and customer traction. I mean, I see you have a big presence in a lot of trade shows right now.
Right, great question. So we launched our first product last year, July.
Yeah.
And normally our customer, it takes at least 6 months or 9 months to do the mass production. So we got some very, very huge success in the commercialization. Number one, end of last year, we had the Baidu, the world global leader of the open source AI technology. They announced the mass production with us. So they try to use our chip for their robots and smart factory and drone applications or AI-enabled IT services. So they tried our chips and they evaluated our performance and power consumption, everything, and then they checked. We can provide higher performance than even the GPU card level performance, but at the same time we provide very highly power efficient AI processing. 5 times higher performance compared to the GPU card, and power consumption just 5 watts. That's why they spent several years to find a power efficient solution. So they tried many other very well-known chips, and then they disappointed. But right now they applied our chip for the applications. Performance 5 times higher compared to the GPU card. Power consumption 5 watt. Prices 1/10. That's why. So second thing, during this CES period, the Hyundai Motor Robotics Group, they announced they will use our chip for their first commercialized robot products this year.
Wow.
So
in 2026, which is good.
Exactly. Yeah. So 3 years ago, we have met each other. I mean, at the time, Hyundai robots, they used the GPU to make the robot prototyping. But thing is, it consumes a lot of power. So the robots can just run just 4 to 5 minutes. That's it. And very huge, high, heat generation and battery life issues. At the same time, cost. That's why. So they wanted to find a solution. That's why for the first time, they wanted to use the LTE module and the edge server to do that. But thing is, communication disconnection or network fluctuation may cause disaster for the robots. That's why now they wanted to have the power efficient solution for the AI processing on device.
Okay.
And then they switched they wanted to find a solution, but they finally found the most power efficient solution, which is DEEPX. And then they already prepared a mass production right now. So that because of this story, also early this year, we received the award from the Davos Forum.
Okay.
Minds Award. Davos Forum, they wanted to find a practical AI solution which actually changes this world. But this story is a kind of evidence. That's why we received that Davos Forum awards.
Yep.
So out of just 7 and 8 months, we have received purchase orders from the 7 countries for the 7 industries like surveillance systems, robots, smart factories, drones, smart cities, etc. So this is all evidences for our success because this world, physical AI is not the future concept.
It's here today.
Yeah. This is a physical reality of this world right now.
Yeah.
So we changed this moment right now. This is that's why we are really excited about this situation.
Well, you know what? When I last met you, you did that butter test, and that kind of must have impressed a lot of people. But those first generation NPUs impressed the market. What's the fundamental leap you're bringing with the second generation lineup? Is the focus primarily on efficiency, scalability, or enabling new classes of edge devices? And I know you have the second generation there.
Yeah, so very good point.
Yeah.
So when we started our business, then people normally think, oh, no, for on device, we can run the tiny applications and AI algorithm, that's it. Why? AI itself requires a lot of data and power-consuming operations. But we wanted to give the evidence. We can integrate sophisticated AI algorithm into the on-device, tiny system. That was what the test. We run the sophisticated algorithm, but even our chip doesn't melt anything. So we put the button on it for all the AI chips.
Yeah.
Every chip melted its butter, except for our chip. So this is the number one evidence. Second thing, now we want to move to the generative AI, capability. So, I heard, though. Recently I'm connected to the Wall Street guys, Singapore SGX, and the Japanese, capital market guys. I heard $7 trillion or $10 trillion together to establish, required AI infrastructure over the world. $10 trillion.
Quite a large amount.
But in my opinion, it will cause economic crisis because we cannot make a 10 trillion level revenue sharply.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, carbon emission, environmental issues. So this is not good situation in my opinion. But at the same time, it takes 7 years or 10 years to build a nuclear power plant. So it takes a long time to make the power supply, etc. In South Korea, we are lack of power. That's why we cannot build a chip factory, fabrication factory plants to make the chips. So I want to solve this problem. That's why we studied about the LLM and generative AI. Once we deploy the 10 billion parameter level algorithm into the device, over 30% AI queries do not need to go to the AI data center.
Correct.
If we deploy up to the 100 billion parameter model, at least 80% we can eliminate the AI traffic going to the data center. Conversely, we can build virtually 5 times AI data center capability without the actual building, one. Yeah, exactly. So
trillions of dollars.
So this is why. So our chip will process up to the 100 billion parameter algorithm, and then performance, it will be 10 to 30 words per second performance. So 10 to 30 TPS.
Okay.
And power consumption, most important thing, again, under 5 watts. And
So you can still put the butter on it.
and also, prices will be under $50.
Wow.
I want to nail down the evidence.
Yeah.
So why this can change, Then we can use this chip for almost all kinds of embedded world, applications.
Yeah.
So that's why we use the 2 nanometer technology. 2 nanometer can realize under 5 watt power consumption. This is important. Then what I want to say is DEEPX is not chip company. DEEPX is wanna be AI compute infrastructure company. So what I want to say, mobile communication, Qualcomm, AI data center leader, NVIDIA, physical AI compute infra, who is? That's my vision. That's our ambition. So next chip will change this world totally for this goal.
Okay, well, for that you need an ecosystem. So you recently launched the Open Source Physical AI Alliance. What gap in the ecosystem are you trying to close with this initiative, and how do you envision developers and device makers benefiting from this open approach? I guess that's very important.
This is a very, very good question. There were so many SG AI chips company. But thing is, here's always the face for our end customers. And the customer, they prepare their application algorithm based on open source AI algorithm. And then they train based on their local data. And then based on the GPU. And then what? They wanted to integrate their algorithm into the resource limited AI chip capabilities. But thing is, it takes 6 months and 1 year. But here's the problem. 1 year later, new algorithm comes, and then all the concept will just change it. And then what?
Yeah.
reiterate the process again and again and again without any successful
You're always
product.
chasing.
Exactly. That is the, I mean, there are two bottlenecks. Number one, reliability. The power efficient, low heat solution. They don't have the market doesn't have that solution. We brought that one. Second thing, zero effort, on the fly, AI deployment for the embedded applications. We want to solve this problem. How? There is number one, ecosystem, company, Baidu. Their open source AI software ecosystem is the Pata. There are over 10 million developers worldwide using that, open source AI algorithm. Second, ecosystem is robotics.
Yeah.
They are author of, YOLO. That's why over 5 million, developers belong to this, ecosystem. So we wanted to connect all these open source, algorithm to our chip. So we made a contract with the Baidu and Ultralytics. What is that? Before they release the algorithm, they port their algorithm into our chip, and then they release. Here's our evidence. This year, January, Ultralytics released YOLO 26. One day later, we announced it already ported our chip.
Yeah.
On the fly, so zero effort, on the fly, AI application deployment.
In 24 hours. Okay.
Exactly. So we actually practically pioneer this area.
Okay.
So now we need a generative AI. Next year you'll see. Then we can change this world based on that.
Well, Lokwan Kim, really wonderful talking to you. Thank you very much.